Hello, Bucks fans. We are back. It is Real Bucks Talk here on a Tuesday. And as you guys know, the NFL Combine is this week. It's officially started. The Buccaneers have arrived in Indianapolis in full force as they are, talking to players. We also heard from Jason Light and Todd Bowles today. So really just going to dive into, their thoughts on, what they said and, just really look at it from that perspective. And obviously, a lot of moves to come. But I'm your host, Michael Plus, joined as always my co-host Mark Ramirez with this nice. We got a little blue and red action going here today with the shirts, so pretty cool. But Mark, how are we feeling? How are we doing? Off season is like always in full swing. It seems like.
Yeah, and it's always like I feel like this is like the Debbie Downer portion of Buccaneers fandom because they
Right.
always think the worst. I think it's just based off of years past,
Yeah,
uh,
everyone's leaving.
right? Everyone's
Yeah.
leaving. Oh, we're not going to pay him that. We're not going to do that. Damn, GM's going to let him walk. What an idiot! Like I've seen so much negativity
Mm,
where nothing's happening. It's not like other teams are getting them, or like people will listen to other teams more than you hear anything of our teams. It's just funny to
mm,
hear, like, "Oh, Dave Canales is going to take everyone." I'm like,
right.
okay, maybe not, but uh, you heard a lot of good things today with
Mm.
a combine interviews and everything. Going to Carolina? No, not a chance. Not a chance. This one's staying right here. Dave took everyone else, but not me. Not me. But no, a lot of good things to talk about. Yeah, they want to keep their own like homegrown people, right? They're
Mm,
literally talking like Baker is homegrown, like they want to bring him back. They're
right.
they're going to strain to bring back Mike Evans, which every fan loves to hear, right? And
Hmm.
uh, then you get some of the sad news of Shaq Barrett leaving. So we're going to talk about all this stuff. And there was
Right.
one name that wasn't really mentioned today, and I think it's one name that us and I agree with a lot. But I'll
Yeah.
let you take away. What did you take away from today's Jason Light and Todd Bowles press conferences?
Well, I mean, I think it was a lot of it was expected, right? I mean, when you look at our free agency, guys that are coming up that need to be re-signed, obviously it starts with those four names that he talked about, which is, Mike Evans, Baker Mayfield, Antoine Winfield Jr., most likely going to get the franchise tag. And then you look at Levante David, bringing him back. Also mentioned Tristan Wirfs getting him a contract and Chase McLaughlin, our kicker, who was outstanding. So obviously he deserves a new deal. But, just his thoughts and then also Todd Bowles just talking about the process of hiring Liam Cohen, I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
Him talking about certain players, whether it's Zion McCollum or, talking about Marquise Watts and just the lack of four-man pressure. I think that is something that obviously is going to be emphasized this offseason. Whether they go attack that in free agency or the draft remains to be seen. They could do both. And, with that said, Shaq Barrett gets released. I think that was something we all thought was coming. Granted, his injury with the Achilles just didn't have the same burst or get off like he's had in the past. So there was definitely, a decrease in level of play there. So they made the right move. Probably going to save some money after June 1st. I think it'd be about 5 million. But overall, I mean, not nothing really surprised me from what they said. I thought it was all according to the plan, and I'm excited to see, how they get these things done. And it looks like they're going to do everything they can to re-sign Mike Evans, get Baker Mayfield back as well, and I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, the Shaq Barrett news,
Mhm.
it was almost an unsung thing. Like
Yeah,
no one wanted to hear it, but you knew it was going to happen. Like it was the
right.
most prototypical business move.
Of
You
course,
have
I
that
don't have the
much,
tweet up here.
right? Like I'm like, "Wait, here, bless
I
me."
have it. I had it here.
Yeah, but I mean, if you
There it
think
is.
about it, here we go.
Yeah,
Bucks releasing Pro Bowl pass rusher Shaq Barrett.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you for everything you've done in the city of Tampa. I mean, broke Sapp's record, 19.5 sacks.
And one of the best free agent signings, I think. I mean, hands down, probably best Jason Light free agent signing by far, outside of Tom Brady, obviously. But he was Shaq was really good. I think he set the tone for the future in free agency right there with Ryan Jensen the year before. So I those are really good moves by both.
Yeah, but like you were saying, it wasn't just the Achilles. It just when
Yeah.
you look at it in a business way, like if you're going to allocate that much money to one area, you're going to have to get a lot of production from that. Oh, plus totally dropped off the scene. But you get a zoom in of me. So yeah, like I was trying to mention, if they're going to invest 21, 20 whatever million on Shaq Barrett, you got to get the production out of it. The production dropped off. They were playing for $19.5 million pass rusher. That was Shaq Barrett. Were they getting that? No. So you got to get that off the books, move forward. And then he was talking about Marquise Watts and Jose Ramirez. Hopefully, yeah. Plus says he just got booted. Hopefully, they are a young boost to this defensive line, which was the piss poor four man pass rush. And you heard nothing but good things from Tristan Wirfs and Luke Gedeke when they mentioned Jose Ramirez and Marquise Watts. Like they were getting their butts whooped in practice all the time. You hear that from the players. The players are going to tell it to the coaches, and that makes Shaq Barrett somewhat expandable. Yes, he's a hell of a guy in the community and a guy that you just pulled for, but it was just a typical business move, in my opinion. And as Pless decides to come on back, Mark's forehead's too big. It's a 5 head, guys. Come on now. But yeah, I'm excited to see Jose Ramirez. Plus, we'll be back. Don't worry. He makes a candid effort to come back. But that one was probably the biggest business move of it. And then talking about what he was saying about the hiring of Liam Cohen, I thought what was cool, which Todd Bowles did say, was it's not just what is your scheme, what are you going to bring? It's what happens when your scheme breaks down. It's almost like how Mike Tyson says, like, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face, punched in the mouth. What are you going to do when that happens? And that was the answer that Todd Bowles liked the most with Liam Cohen, saying how smart and how quick he was to adjust if a plan broke down. And that's where we liked in the hiring oh, there he is. That's what we liked in the process of him getting hired and guys that know what to do when crap hits the fan, right? Yeah, Plus made it back. Look at him. There he
Sorry
is.
about that. Do I sound okay?
No, you sound good.
Or no? Okay. All right. Yeah. I don't know what happened there. Freaking Wi-Fi. I hate it. Spectrum is if you're listening Spectrum, you guys suck. You guys suck big time. Let
Is
me
what
see
it
if I
is.
can get yeah.
Well, yeah, and
This
also talking about the hiring of Liam Cohen because the coolest thing I thought was how he mentioned it's not just the scheme they bring; it's how they adjust once their plan doesn't work. Right?
right. Yeah,
I think that's
absolutely.
what the smartest coaches do. It's like, yeah, you always have game plan going in, but the second half you got to make adjustments. That's something where like Raheem Morris was really good at back in the day
Mm,
defensively, but now we're looking at offense. Todd Bowles always has answers to try and throw things because our pass rush doesn't work, so he has to do his own blitzes, simulated pressures. He's really good at that. So let
right.
me get an offensive guy that can do similar types of things, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very excited about Liam Cohen. I think he's gonna be a very good match as far as him and Todd Bowles. And we talked about this before in other podcasts. It's like, can this guy get the running game going? I think that's going to be a huge factor. And Bowles talked about getting someone to go with Rashad White to, take off the load. Jason Light mentioned Sean Tucker. He's got to take that big leap. They're looking for that. So is it going to be someone of that nature? Or are they going to re-sign Chase Edmonds? I know Chase wants to be back here in Tampa, but just have to see what other options come available. I don't think running back is going to be a high priority in the draft. I think that's a position they can attack later, much later on day 3, or they wait for one of these free agents to be cheap and maybe sign in that avenue. But we'll see. Hopefully, both of those guys, Sean Tucker and Rashad White, can continue to take steps forward and be a big part of this offense moving forward.
Yeah, and like how everyone would ask, like, okay, what does Liam Cohen want for offense? Or like he's just getting in the building. He's just getting his coaches to understand what his scheme's going to be and what we're going to run.
Right.
Like, let's not worry about that. And then he mentioned players over plays,
Yeah.
right? So Jason Light mentioned that. He's like, okay, that's what I like to hear in the interview process. I'm going to get you players, just scheme it to them.
Mhm.
That's what we're doing here. I provide talent, you provide the way to use this talent. That's how it's supposed to work. And
Yep.
he's the baker. We got a baker. Let's just start giving him some ingredients, right? So,
Mhm.
so a lot of these people that want like bigger name players, like I mean, Krillin. I know you said hopefully Whitehead. So would I think that, but the money, like they said, they're wanting to get the guys that are here already. Like
Mhm.
we're we won one playoff game. We almost could have won two. I mean, you were 2 games away from the Super Bowl. That means you're really close. That means you're not that far away. So keep the
Yeah.
guys that you know can get you there, and then find ways to improve, whether that be through the draft or little sprinkled in free agents. Usually, if you're throwing a huge amount of money at someone, you're trying to get a quick fix fast, and it
Mhm.
normally doesn't really work. The guys that are usually in the playoffs long term, the teams are in there, like that's homegrown type of guys. And
Yeah.
I know there's a wish list I have. Like I mentioned, like Leonard Williams today. That's like a wish list type of guy.
Mhm.
Likely doesn't happen. It's just too much money being thrown around. It's bring back
Yeah.
our guys and it's build from within.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, for outside free agents, obviously, I would love to get a high end pass rusher in here that could take over, for the departure of Shaq Barrett. I think Dorrance Armstrong, I mentioned, I think he would be someone they could potentially look at. There's familiarity with George Edwards, who's coached him before, so maybe you look at that avenue. But again, it's going to cost you some money to sign like a free agent like that. You're looking 8 to $10 million for salary, somewhere in that range. So, can they do it? Absolutely. They can make things happen to fit in something like that. But for free agents overall, they're probably going to be looking for, guys that are less than 4 million or so, looking for value. And hopefully you can find some quality in there. I mentioned Brian Allen, the free agent center, from the Rams. That could be a possibility, who could come in cheap, give you competition for a Robert Hainsey, and see where, what you have there. But overall, yeah, I mean, they're just going to go after what they can get as far as their guys, getting that core back together, and then, see where you can add. But the big thing on the draft is all this, like, mainly the whole roster was drafted by Jason Light. So I think it was like 70% of the starters for the Bucs were drafted players. So that just shows you, how important it is for the draft, and Jason Light believes in drafting and developing your own talent. And then once that talent's developed, you re-sign them back. And I think that's what they're looking for.
I mean, pretty much the whole defensive line,
Mm,
linebackers,
yeah.
corners, and your safety. I mean, Delaney was a starter, so he was just like I said, he was an undrafted free agent, right?
Right.
I mean, but speaking on him, I mean, so G Vegas put up here, who is more likely to come back, SMB or Whitehead? I don't know if Bucks can draft 2 secondary players in this draft. So speaking of a position, Whitehead or SMB, we're talking probably the safety position. And I don't know if
Mhm.
SMB's not coming back. I highly doubt that.
Right.
But the safety position to me, and that got mentioned again by Jason Light today. They were talking about Merriweather, how he earned his position, he earned his playing time. They value his potential of what he could be in the
Mhm.
system. They also mentioned Christian Isian, which has been sprinkled around, and now you actually heard it from the man's mouth himself. They like his type to be a safety. Yeah, you lose it in size, but you get the
Right.
tenacity and downhill thumper.
Yeah, he's a good tackler.
Yeah, right. So,
Mhm.
what was your take on that?
Yeah, I think, safety, I think, is an area where, obviously they're going to look at. I think it has really good value in this year's draft, especially rounds 1 through 4. You can find someone. I mean, they found Jordan Whitehead in the 4th round. I think that's a possibility to pick a safety, and with one of those premium picks early on. In free agency, there's plenty of names that they could go after that could be, a value pickup to add depth to that position. But with Merriweather and Izzy, and I think those guys continue to grow, and hopefully they can provide at least competition for that spot, or at least, have some type of role. It was funny that Todd Bowles mentioned Zion McCollum, like he's going to play, but we just don't know where at right now. So I think that is
Oh, he's going to
that
play.
is telling. I mean, it's telling to Carlton Davis and Jamel Dean, that more likely so Carlton Davis, that he could be potentially moved, whether that's trade or they just release him outright. Dean they have to keep for this year, so Dean's probably going to be back regardless for this season. But Carlton Davis doesn't look like he is safe, in my opinion. But we'll see how this plays out. But yeah, I like both of those guys to step in, and if they had to start, I would be comfortable with either one.
Yeah, I mean, that's taking the next step up. I mean, you're
Right.
hoping this happens with, like I was mentioning earlier, when you got booted, Marquise Watson, Jose Ramirez, how
Yes.
I was talking about how the offensive linemen were saying they were getting their butts whooped left and right in practice. Like, it's tough to stop both of them.
Hmm.
You're hoping you see that ascension into the actual regular season, and they actually take that momentum and go with it, right? I mean, there was a time where Shaq Barrett was a last final cut, right?
Yeah.
Competing against Noah Spence. And we're like, oh, which one of these guys we're going to keep? I think we chose the right one. So they compare Marquise Watts a lot with Shaq Barrett, same type of body mold, same damn number, right?
Hmm.
So, I mean, and to me, Jose Ramirez looked like Shaq Barrett when he was coming out of college. Like, didn't
Yes.
have elite measurables, speed, hand size, or anything, but he gets after the damn quarterback. And
Mm.
that's a thing we didn't really have here. We
Yeah.
had a lot of bigger guys that like to stop the run first. Maybe Todd Bowles is shifting to a different type of pass rush because he needs to. He realizes after years and years of four-man pass rush not working, let's see what the hell we can do. And
Hmm.
yeah, to me, I'm like build the trenches and then get smart guys in the secondary. I think
Yeah.
it's more than smart enough. Do they want to move him to safety? I don't know, but you heard about it. So let's
Mm.
see. I thought he was a pretty damn good nickel. So
Right.
it's still very fluid, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think the thing with Izzy, and it seemed he was very comfortable when he was playing in zone coverage. He could play a little bit of man coverage as well. But it seemed like he was better when he was just attacking downhill. So you could see the opportunity for him to move to strong safety, be like that extra linebacker in the box, or just how they like to use their safeties of the past, where you can match him up, um, whether that's man or just have him in a robber situation where he can come down and take the middle of the field. And obviously, the middle of the field was one of our weaknesses last year on defense. Um, and yeah, you wonder why. It looks like they realize that that guy is not going to be back. As Jason Light was asked the question today, has there been any discussions with Devin White? And he flat out basically said no. And, we have our focus elsewhere, which is the right move. And I don't expect him to return this season.
Yeah, I mean, when they mentioned all the guys to bring back, there was one guy he didn't name. Then he said, "Oh, let's
Right.
throw a boat parade if we bring back these guys."
Yeah.
Usually a top 5 pick you'd want to return back, right? So these are telling things.
Mhm. Yeah. It was also funny that Jason Light got asked about the play of KJ Britt and Servacio Dennis, and also talked about Levante David being the Mount Rushmore. And just he talked about all three of those guys very glowingly, but did not mention wanting to bring back Devin White. So it just shows you that, obviously they're moving on. Yeah, they're moving on, and I think that's the right move, and see where they go for that position moving forward. I could see a draft pick being utilized on that position probably later on, maybe not a high pick, but someone that can bring in more depth, behind Levante and others. Also mentioned JJ Russell, who I really like too. So
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's stuff where we've kind of shown over and over, and this is a GM that literally talks about just today. I mean, we pretty much know what we're getting based off of my guys in our room telling me how good these guys are playing in the field, playing in the film. We're not looking for measurables, speed. Yes, that gets us to look at them, a double take, but
yeah.
our true judgment is based off of film. And
Mm.
you've seen what Devin White's been doing constantly now. Like, does that warrant 20 plus million for a middle linebacker? No, I made that argument about Shaq Barrett. Yes, you were paying 20 something million to a 19.5 sack guy. Was he doing that anymore? No, it was truly a business decision. You had to do it.
Right.
If he was making 7, 8, 9, no, you keep it. I'll take that, guaranteed. But I mean, that's what it is. Yeah, the total different situation with Shaq Barrett and Devin White. One guy plays his ass off,
Right.
does everything he can. He didn't match up to the number. Now we got a guy that's wanting this amount of money. He's just not producing to that, so it's not warranted. But yeah. So what do you think with all this clamor and stuff of the Baker and Mike Evans? What do you think are chances that one of them we aren't able to sign back? Because that's the fear that, okay, if we sign back one, because I think I saw a report saying Baker could get 40 million and Evans gets 30 million. So
Yeah.
what are the likelihoods of those money amounts being possible? And then what if one does go?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be interesting. I think they're going to do their best to sign both of them before we get to that tampering period. So that's before March 11th. I think they know they know they're the priority, and I think they're going to do whatever they can to ensure that they're back. As far as those numbers, I don't see Baker getting anywhere close to 40 million. I think it's going to be, short-term deal, 2 to 3 years where it's incentive base, and you're probably looking somewhere around, I would think 25 to 27 million is his ballpark. And then I mean, Mike deserves probably 30 million. Is he going to get that? I don't know either. I think both of them are going to be around that 25 number. And, I think they're going to find a way to make it where it's a good deal for both sides. And, they're both going to be back, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, just think about,
Yeah.
like, you bet on yourself as Baker
From
from a $4 million to 25 to 27. I mean, that's
That's
pretty.
a big jump. Yeah.
And I mean, so my argument is always the dude literally came here saying, I want to go to an organization that knows how to win, that has the pieces to win.
Mm-hmm.
You just realize you admitted that to yourself. So why the hell would you take that away by cash strapping them even more to say, okay, now I'm going to put it all on me? It's now you just went from a we to a me. I don't see him doing that. And then
Right.
it's clamoring of, oh, now this is the other team, the Falcons are coming in. I just don't see it. I
Yeah.
don't see it for a
And
second.
even if both players reach the market, again, I think they could, look around, but I think the Buccaneers will have every chance to match or at least come close. Where again, you're no state income tax, so that plays a big part. But it also, like you just said, both guys want to be here. They want to be back. They love Tampa. We were very close to, getting to the NFC Championship game. They know this team is still very talented. And if this team puts everything together and adds a little bit more here and there, they have a very good opportunity to compete with the Detroit Lions and San Francisco and all the other NFC teams to be right there for a potential, Super Bowl berth. And I like them both. I think both are gonna to get back. I wouldn't be. I would be shocked if one of them left. I'll just put it that way. I think it's pretty much in the Bucs' favor right now as it stands, and I don't see any reason why they won't be back.
And I 100% agree. Like,
Yeah.
everything else is just noise right now. Like,
Mhm.
and if they do leave, the only one I would be more afraid of is Mike Evans leaving, and he has
Right.
more reason to. Like, with
Mhm.
him, it's end of his career. Do I want more money? I don't think he's that type of guy. I think he cares more about winning.
Yeah.
And does he see, okay, well, if Baker's back, they bring him back, is that enough for me to stay? And
Mhm.
because if he gets a call from I say the Chiefs or the Ravens, that's kind of a hard competition. Like,
Mhm.
you got the best quarterback in the league that's just going for a three-peat, and if they say, okay, I can match something of what the Bucs are, that is a tough one. And
Yeah.
pairing him with Travis Kelce, I'd be disgusting. That's the only one I would be slightly terrified of. Other than
Mhm.
that, I mean, it is very close that he should be back on, and he already wants to be back. So get
Yeah.
out of our own way. I mean, if it's astronomically amount of money and people are scared of the Panthers, come on now.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of articles where it says, "Oh, the Panthers could sign Mike Evans or the Bears," and I'm like, "No, these teams are not getting Mike Evans." And the only true contenders that I see is potentially the Houston Texans because that's his home state. Also, they have no state income tax, and they could probably offer a little bit more than what the Bucs could. And obviously going to play with CJ Stroud, who's already pretty well established and showed a lot of potential. You now add a top weapon in Mike. I could see that being a destination. The other one I would mention is the New York Jets because, again, it's Aaron Rodgers. This is probably his last season. And you add him with Garrett Wilson, that's a very good dynamic duo, and the Jets could offer a lot of money as well. But like I said, I don't see Mike or Bake going anywhere. Now, if it comes down to worst case scenario and both leave, then obviously you got to look for another quarterback. I don't know if that's in the draft and you just start over and rebuild. I don't think that would be the case. Maybe you go and get a Russell Wilson who looks like he probably will get released or maybe traded. I wouldn't mind him because he would probably be very affordable because he's getting 39 million guaranteed, and you could sign him to a very cheaper contract than you would say what you'd be paying Baker Mayfield. But again, it's all speculation right now, but I think both are going to be back in the long run.
Yeah, I was laughing because his last comment, that's hilarious. Stop bringing up the Chiefs. They can't afford him. Trust me. I live in KC. This place sucks to live. You're miserable.
Yeah.
I hope so. I hope.
Yeah, I mean they're up against the cap as well. They have to re-sign Chris Jones, so they probably don't have the money to bring in Mike Evans.
Yeah. Hey, I've seen some weirder things. I mean,
Yeah,
Saints are always pushed up against the cap, and I don't know how the hell they signed.
they find a way. Yeah,
like, there's just no reason. There's no. I don't understand it, but it's fuzzy math.
mm-hmm.
But let's keep going on. So the Baker Mike, you guys know our takes on that and how it should work out. I guess let's push to the draft. So let me, unless there's, Levante, Antoine Field. We already mentioned Antoine's probably going to get the tag.
Yeah, and it's same thing with those guys. I expect them to be back. The Tristan Wirfs contract extension I think will be great because that could open up more cap space. And Chase McLaughlin, he's going to be signed. So all those big names I think are going to be back, and then it's just finding those value free agents that we talked about throughout. And they're probably not going to make a lot of moves that opening week. They're going to wait. Mainly the moves that are going to be made is our guys coming back. That's going to be the big headlines, and then you prepare for the draft and see what you can get there. One thing, and we can transition to the draft. The one thing about that I've been looking at, I think Jason Licht could be aggressive in this draft with trading up and down. Just because just looking at the overall depth of this class, there's not a lot of talent once you get past round 4. It kind of takes a steep dive just because of, you have these NIL deals and a lot of guys return to college, return to school, and the class overall depth just wasn't as good as it could have been. So I think there could be opportunities where he moves up, using those 5th and 6th round, 7th round picks to maybe move up a little bit. Not saying it'll happen in the first round, but you could see where he tries to get more top 100 picks to maximize the roster.
It wouldn't hurt, right?
Yeah.
But then again, his guys are so damn good. I mean, you guys, I'm McCollum and what?
Right. Yeah, and that's the one thing I think Jason just prides himself on. He knows how to find these guys, like you said, later in the draft. So, so yeah, and that's why I can see, them moving down to gather more picks potentially. So there's going to be a lot of options and opportunities for them to move around, and I think that'll be something to look for.
Well, and even even like Todd Bowles said, he's like, we think we're in a good position where one of these top guys could fall.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking he's thinking just all these damn quarterbacks that are going. So if all these quarterbacks get rated so highly,
Yeah.
everyone's head, you got to have a Patrick Mahomes. So if there's a close comparison, we got to get that guy, or our team is a big bag of shit. That's how teams look at it. And it's either a quarterback or nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, there is the rest of the team, but we keep talking.
Yeah.
But yeah, the draft itself. So one of those guys could fall. You never know. I mean, and then Krillin saying we ain't drafting a center first round. I mean, to this, think about this, because Al Bundy said it earlier. We took Devin White, an off-ball linebacker, at top 5 pick.
Right.
Plus and I both hated it and said, please don't let it happen. All the way up to the coming draft. Don't do it. Don't. And they did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we won a Super Bowl with them, and now we're going to let them walk after. So you can't tell me he's not going to do something. He took O.J. Howard in the first round, top 19. So you can't tell me a center isn't worth it, especially if it's that much of an upgrade over what we already have.
Yeah.
And Todd Bowles said, I love our left and right tackle. They're pretty damn good. Cody Malk, however the hell you want to say his name. If he gains some weight, he's going to be pretty good. He didn't mention center or left guard, so just saying. But what's your take? First round pick. What are we looking?
Well, just getting back to what you're talking about, like players falling. I think obviously in the first round you're going to see a lot of quarterbacks, and then B, offensive tackles are going to go early and often. Receiver is going to be a lot of picks early and often. Tight end with Brock Bowers is probably going to be somewhere mixed in there. And then you look at the cornerback room. There's going to be a lot of corners taken. So those positions right there, yes, the Bucs could use a corner, but for the most part, those are positions that I don't think they're going to prioritize. Obviously, you're going to have pass rushers mixed in there too, within the top 20. But I think there could be opportunity for a pass rusher to fall. I don't know which one that's going to be, but you could see like a guy like Chop Robinson be there from Penn State, maybe a lot too from UCLA could be there. There's options that could be had, but when you look at it, interior offensive line and safety are probably going to be those top groups that have not really been touched, where you can get maybe the top center or the top guard that you feel is going to be a very good value at your spot at 26. So I think when you look at it from that standpoint, there could be very good value. And right now, like you said, center could be upgraded. And technically, we don't have a left guard on the roster because Matt Filer is a free agent, and so is Aaron Stinney. So really, you need a left guard. And center, we all have talked about it. We feel Hainsey could be replaced with something better. So, yeah, I think those two positions, well, actually 3 positions. So interior offensive line, safety, whether that's Tyler Nubin or one of these other guys that could be in the mix. And then pass rusher or even defensive tackle, because defensive tackle, not really mentioned in the first round. I think that's maybe more of a position later on. But yeah, you could see defensive tackle maybe as an outside. Again, we picked one last year, or we picked one the last 2 years, but it never hurts to go trenches. So I think trenches or safety is your likely bet.
Yeah, and that's logical. I mean, if all these other positions are getting taken over and over and over again, you don't take a position because you're scared you're not going to get one later. You see, where's my board? Where's my rank? Right. And that's why Jason Light knocks it out year after year, because he's like, okay, this guy's really high on my board and he's still damn there. I'm definitely taking him. Man, that's how you get Yaya Diaby's late. Like, not forcing a pick. Someone's falling to you where you're like, I have him. What idiots. They left him here. That's how I feel like Jason Light thinks at times when he's drafting. So, I mean, yes, if there's a Tyler Nubin sitting there, the top rated safety, and we're worried, okay, our interior lineman, we should have taken this, and the top center's gone, well, that's an easy pick to me. or a lot of it's just based off of value. I mean, don't overshoot because there's a run on a wide receiver or run on
Yeah.
tackles. Like you can't play that way. That's just being based off of like emotion. I know we're trying to build a team, and I love that Jason Light said we're focusing on depth. Right, we're trying to
Mm.
build the depth of the team. That's
Yeah.
how good it was during the Super Bowl season. Leading up to the Super Bowl, we just kept building on our depth of the whole entire team,
Mhm.
not just loading up on one area, and that's what you need to have, and that's why he likes to collect picks almost. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, do I know what the hell it's going to be? No, you're at pick 26. A lot of things can happen, and you
Yeah.
hope guys fall. You hope with a guy that we really like gets really close, we could possibly trade up, like Plus was saying, based off of
Mhm.
limited talent later. But I mean, they'll weigh their options, and if there's a guy they really love, yeah, maybe they do, like the Tristan Wirfs trade, one damn pick, right?
Yeah.
So anything can happen. We'll see.
Mhm.
It's gonna be exciting, but I think he heard nothing but good things about how they want to build the team, where they see weaknesses, guys that they want to bring back. Like it's a very consistent voice all around.
Mhm.
And one other thing I wanted to talk about with the coaching is like funny thing that Todd Bowles mentioned this, right? Everyone
Yeah.
gives Todd Bowles shit. Oh, he's just a running team, running ball. He said, I don't want you to run the ball unless we're up 3 damn scores because you keep scoring because we got to win a game.
Yeah.
I want you to keep attacking. So get get y'all asses off of him that he's just feeding the play caller to run the ball. No, he's saying go at it. And
Mhm.
that's we're up 3 scores, then you can milk the clock, right? So I don't know. I feel like Todd Bowles says some things in small bits where you're like, okay, now that's the guy that's a head coach. And that's why he is one of the top 32
Right.
because of that foundation stuff. But then he stays quiet the rest. And everyone
Mhm.
only remembers the shit that he's just being quiet. Some people say smug,
Mhm.
no emotion. Well, I mean, he's doing that to the locker room. He doesn't necessarily have to do that to the media. To Jenna Lane and her 100 questions about how you're going to deal with the weather inside the dome. Like, come on. Like, like so I've it's tough job itself, and I think he says some things where you truly believe in him when he says things like that.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I'll admit right here, like I've talked about Todd Bowles on this show, and I've been up and down on him, and in the past, as Mark knows very well. But I think I think he's grown on me for sure. I think the best thing that he's doing is he is trying everything he can to improve this team, improve his coaching
Mm.
philosophy, improve his coaching practice. And that is a sign of a very good leader. And I think that's what he is. I think he's done a good job of getting the culture back in the locker room, getting the team on the same page. So, and that's important because, and you look at last year's draft class, like they brought in guys that are very intelligent, and I think that's very important. Like you have to have smart players on your team, and he's definitely doing that by building him and Jason, building a team that can play fast but also smart at the same time. And so yeah, I'm excited about that, and I think his ability to understand where his shortcomings are and try to rectify that is very impressive. And also you have to remember this guy is a former player, so he understands what these guys are going through. And I think he's a very good players coach, that guys really buy into what he's telling them. And that's important. You got to have that respect and that want to really go after it.
Yeah, and like I mentioned it last year. It's like he's building his team. Like it
Yeah.
whoever was BA's team. I mean, BA was pissed when he fired Leftwich. He
Mhm.
brought in a guy that was night and day better, night and day different. And a guy they said, no, look at the college ranks. I want you to adapt to today's NFL. We must change, right?
Mhm.
You see his defenses are so dynamic. Guys are rushing from different angles. So
Yeah.
many, you don't know what the hell's coming. The offense was so bland, so the same. You got a guy that brought in a whole bunch of motions. He's like, damn, okay, this confuses me. So I'll take you in here, right?
Mhm.
Liam Cohen does the same thing, and he mentioned, like, yeah, he's going to bring a good running game that he brought from Kentucky, but I want you to pass too,
Mm,
right? So can he bring that Kentucky running game to the Buccaneers? That doesn't mean drafting the running back that was in Kentucky, just bringing the a different running scheme that he had. Um,
mm,
in an area where Dave Canales was just more inside zone. Okay, let's see what we can do with the outside zone. Let's see what we can do with different pieces like that. Um, and that's one thing we talked about. I don't know if you talked about it in the last show.
mm,
How it's like, as a coach, you got to be able to understand. Okay, if something's not really working, we got to find a way to get it to work, not
yeah.
just force feed it in the middle of this inside zone. Inside zone. We're just going to get it based off repetition. Like that, isn't that insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, right?
Mm,
You got, as a coach, you got to be okay. This really ain't working. This ain't it. We got to find another way to help that, right? And I think that's where Liam Combs can adapt to this offense a little bit better. Let's see, because it took Dave Canales a whole damn year to finally figure out Chris Godwin, the running game itself.
yeah.
They got humming at the end. You wanted to see more, but he left. So let's see how quickly Liam Cohen can adapt.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, him adapting to, just his player personnel. And I think this is probably a very talented group that he's coming into. So that is awesome to have. And obviously his um relationship with Baker Mayfield is big. And I think that's why he's gonna be most likely returning. Getting Mike Evans back for the next several seasons. That's going to be awesome, and we'll see if they can revive Chris Godwin. I think that's a very interesting player right now because he's entering a contract year and he's about to go on age 30. And can they get him humming again in that slot position and be utilized in a better way where you can really open up not just Chris, but open up Mike Evans more, which is crazy to think about because he's already had great seasons. He had a really good year last year. So if they can do that, the only thing I think they're missing, and we talked about this before, is obviously the interior offensive line. That's going to be a priority, and then adding a tight end that can really stretch the field.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be an emphasis, whether that's free agency or someone through the draft. But I think it's probably more likely in free agency that they attack. But we will see. That's another thing we didn't mention. They're talking about Keefe going back to fullback.
Yeah.
So that will be something to look for. Maybe that plays to his strengths and just let him block more and catch those short passes instead of trying to use him as a traditional tight end where he failed last year miserably with only one catch. But at least that one catch,
What a
and
big
guess what?
catch.
Yeah, guess what? It was a touchdown, and it also it was a catch out of the fullback position. So that just goes to show you.
The Jets and draft a fullback first round, baby. Uh, yeah, but I think both Jason Light and Todd Bowles mentioned a fullback
Mm,
position and how
right,
it may not be a traditional one, but a tight end that can play it, a la
yeah,
O'Keefe. I was
right,
thinking the Kansas State tight end possibility there.
yeah,
Ways to, yeah, because O'Keefe and Kate Otten and Payne Durham are not going to scare you running the seams, right? So
right.
that's not really going to be an attack area where you have an advantage. It's more
Mm,
like, okay, if Chris and Mike are getting doubled, okay, maybe they're going to be open.
mhm,
I mean, yeah, that's G Vegas just said it there. Bring in Jono Smith to that tight end room, a guy that just got cut.
right.
Well, there's a lot of veteran type tight ends like Gerald Everett, been in the system,
Yes,
right?
yeah, that
Uh,
would be my guy.
Mike Gesicki, and a
Mhm,
guy that I wanted to trade for in the
yeah,
offseason or during the season. Very big athletic tight end. Just
right.
hasn't had one really good year and then he kind of fell off. It's an injury thing, we don't know. But still, you need to find someone where we can get something from
Mhm,
that, a little something extra, right? I know it's
yeah,
a very, very young room. Bring a veteran into there. Let's see what we can do with it. Like almost like a Cameron Brate. Like he was good enough where he could be that option in the middle of the field. He was fast enough, but we don't have that right now. It's Kate
mhm,
Otten is consistent. I'll say that.
yeah.
It, sometimes he has drops, but he got better throughout the season. I'll give him that. He did get better overall as a player.
Yeah, no, he got better, and I think you lean into him as being your more traditional wide tight end, But what they really need is that F tight end that can really move and be the guy that can stretch the field. Jonu Smith, I think, would be great if they could get him a part of this room. I think that'd be awesome. Gerald Everett, obviously, with the connections that he has with Liam Cohen, I think that would be fun. Really, not much opportunities in the draft. I just don't see them picking a tight end in those premium positions. You know,
No,
I
yeah.
yeah, I just don't see it. I mean, and really, there's not one that you can wait on in day 3 that's really going to offer you really good upside or maybe be that F tight end that can really move. You're more looking at what you already have in this group, and that's something that you're trying to deviate away from and try to find someone that can be an X factor to add to the offense. But again, it's not a critical position. They could still roll with the same group if they wanted to, and maybe you add somewhere else, whether that's receiver, and you find a guy that can be that dynamic threat alongside of Evans, Godwin, Palmer. But we'll see. We'll see how they want to attack it. But the main things, like we mentioned before, interior offensive line, edge rusher, I think secondary. Those are going to be your priorities heading into the draft.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's not the only ones that I think are pressing are interior offensive line
Yes.
and safety.
Right.
Other than that, you can build depth and be consistently well. But if you can upgrade those two, or just maybe a push and then an upgrade on one of them, I'm just baking based off of the guys playing together consistently. You're going to get better.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, yes, interior line and safety are the 2 highest rated spots, and it's depending on who's there available in the draft. I'm not going to reach for one. If one's highest rating your board, take that one, right? Or if it is an edge rusher, good, right? But I mean, they'll find ways to upgrade that position, whether it be through free agency or the draft. We'll see. But like you just said, I don't think they're going to be spending big. They're going to see what they can get week 2, 3.
Yeah, Al Bundy wants us to share this comment, so I will. But I think Mike Evans is going to be back, so I think you can rule out that first round receiver. Even though Adana Mitchell is really talented, 6'4", a guy that can play with speed.
180 pounds.
Yeah, 180 pounds though, so he's a little lighter. Austin Booker, I think, is a rising edge who could be a potential second round pick for us. I really like his game. Cooper Beebe, built like a tank. He's just the thing that worries me is his limited athleticism. But when he does get your hands on you, you're pretty much done. So he does a great job of hand placement and footwork and stuff like that. Just not the greatest athlete in the world. Christian Mahogany, I love that guy. I think he would be a great selection. I probably like him more than I do like Cooper Beebe, even though Cooper, haven't really watched him much yet. I watched a little bit of him. But yeah, Christian is a mauler. Like that guy just runs people over. Same thing with BB, but I think Christian's athletic ability is a little bit higher rated. So that's why I would have him higher on my board personally. And then Christian Boyd, I've heard good things about him.
Clemson guy,
right?
That's a Clemson guy?
No, Christian Boyd is actually he's a smaller school. I think North Dakota State or something like that. Or North, one of the smaller schools. Maybe not Northwestern, but yeah, he's from one of the smaller schools. But yeah, really good defensive tackle that has some upside. And then Jerry and Jones, don't really know much about him yet, but I will get on that.
Northern,
yeah,
that guy.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree with Krillin. I don't see us taking a receiver in round 1. I do see us taking a receiver at some point, but just not in the first round.
Well, because like again, you're looking at mainstream medias thinking, "Oh, Mike Evans is gone. Tampa is a shit market. Get him out of there.
Yeah,
get him to Boston. Get him to LA. Get him to New York. We need a face like that here." I hate it. I hate mainstream media. It's just bullshit. It's all you're gonna see left and right. So just don't listen to them. I mean, all of them are going to be wrong regardless. I think there's what was it that on average the really good ones get like 7 or 8 of them of 32 picks correct every year.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, come on now.
Yeah.
And because that's their only go-to. Okay, Mike Evans is leaving, so they're going to need a receiver. But,
Yeah, I don't understand that. Yeah, again, it's just, yeah, receiver's the flashy pick. I always like taking skill positions, and receiver is a premium position. But man, the class this year is so good. Like that is one position where you could find a starter on day 3. Like it's that solid. So and Jason Light always gets these receivers later in the draft. Like I mean, Trey Palmer still has a lot of potential that he could live up to. As we saw, super fast. Like he has blazing speed. It's just can he become that consistent option in his other areas of his game, right? Route running, being consistent, catching the football, and making the plays downfield. But yeah, really excited about him, and they're really excited still about Raheem Jarrett. And I think they're still going to add to that position. I just feel like it's going to be much later, whether that's the draft or maybe even a free agent that they could bring in.
yeah, he hits on those too.
Yeah.
Gosh, pretty damn good.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, if there's any second tier player, yes, running back. I know they mentioned Sean Tucker. He's got to make a step forward.
Hmm.
If anyone's mad about Chase Edmonds leaving, okay, maybe. But I mean, it's not like he was someone that you're like, oh, I'm begging you to bring him back.
Hmm.
Running backs are a dime a dozen. You can find them. Like, you can find them. Don't worry.
Hmm.
You don't have to look hard. Like, it's the majority is the scheme fits, their offensive line opening up the holes for them. The running back is just can they make that 3-yard run a damn touchdown, right?
Hmm.
But really, Rashad White is your bell cow. Can you upgrade behind him just to give him a breather, right?
Yeah.
I don't think we necessarily need to go crazy on that. I think anyone that follows us knows we don't value running backs really highly. It's just the name of the game, right? They're going to get injured. You can't put that much money to invest in a position that's going to get hurt often and then don't have much shelf life.
Mm.
If you're really talking business, that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it's not show friends.
Right. Yeah. Not show friends, it's show business. And I think the only running back I could see them taking in the first 4 rounds is probably Ray Davis, just because of the familiarity with Liam Cohen. And obviously he's that kind of back that
Blue is.
yeah, there you go. Kentucky Blue. Yes. Yeah, Liam Cohen and I think Ray Davis, that would be a good match. But there's a lot of guys like Ray Davis that you could get much later, rounds 5 through 7, that could be a very good potential fit. So yeah, I don't see them forcing that position. It's the same thing with tight end, same thing with receiver, quarterback. I know people have mentioned quarterback on here. I don't see them drafting one. Maybe if Michael Penix or someone like that, falls to the second round, like AKA Kyle Trask, maybe, but I just don't see them putting a priority because that would just create a mess for Baker Mayfield. Because if Baker, let's say, struggles, the fans are going to be clamoring for the backup like we always do. And that would put too much. Plus, you still have Kyle Trask here, and I think you still want to see what type of steps he can take, even though it's his last year on his contract. You want to see if he can continue to improve and get better. And I think you roll with those 2 guys. You bring John Woodford back as your emergency quarterback, and I think that's it. And maybe next year, that's when you take a quarterback, just because Trask maybe doesn't get re-signed, for the following offseason. But those positions, I don't really see them attacking. So really, it's going to be offensive line heavy, defensive edge rushers and defensive tackles. I could see linebacker. I don't know if they put that as a priority. I know there's some good linebackers that I like Peyton Wilson from NC State, Junior Colson from Michigan. Those are 2 names to look for, but I just don't know if they take those guys high, like second or third round.
No, but again, it's the draft. It's a crazy,
Yeah.
another drama-filled show.
Right. But it also goes to that point, like taking the best player at that position, taking a higher ranked player instead of forcing a position, like taking a linebacker at a good value spot instead of forcing let's say this instead of forcing the seventh best receiver or something like that, just adding, if you can get a top rated player, you can do it.
I'm 100% with you on that.
Yeah.
Always I am. It's positional value. It is something that you got to take into consideration and not just chase the market. How it is. But I mean, a lot of people just don't like Caleb Williams. It looks like straight diva. Does he really paint his fingernails?
I don't know.
Paints his nail? I don't know, but based off of straight talent, the dude's insane. I mean, he may be a diva. Maybe he flips a switch and actually wants to be a good pro, but the man's arm is elite and he can move around and do stuff. I know even his team at USC kind of seemed like he made it more about him than the team. But let's see. You're going to be around professionals, 30-something-year-olds with kids and families and bigger problems than you being kissed at your damn big party or whatever the hell it is. I don't know. But yeah, let's see. I think he's extremely talented. Let's see what the hell coaching can do to him. But hopefully they don't throw everything on him. Let's put it that way.
Right. No, you're going to find a lot this week, about those guys. Obviously, the interviews and the medicals, I think, are the most important thing. That's why the Buccaneers are there, because they want to get inside information on these guys, prospects across the board, and, see, what these guys are in person. And you're not going to change your evaluation because, guys running 40-yard dashes and, underwear. That's not going to change it. It's going to be the tape. The tape drives, the rankings. Yeah, sure. If a guy runs a 4.240 and you didn't expect it, then you're probably going to go back and watch that player, see if he showed that type of speed on tape. That's where mainly this week is understanding who they are, and then also backing that up with the measurables, with the tape, and making sure that's confirmed, via your film studies. And speaking of film studies, we're probably going to have a film study later this week on West Virginia center Zach Frazier. Really like his game. I think he could be a potential first-round pick for the Buccaneers. I really like him. He's a strong player, that wrestling background. So we like those types of dudes that can, put people on the grass, like Tristan Wirfs, aka former wrestler. So those are always good ones to go after.
They have really good track records.
Yep.
Humphrey,
Creed Humphrey. Yeah. So, yep. Yeah. Frazier. Yeah. Yeah. Nephew of Bucs by 30. Yes. Yeah. That is probably his biggest fan for sure. He's always talking about Zach Frazier. So, and rightfully so. The dude is a top 50 player for sure, and could be a first round pick.
I mean, let's see. Again, guys, you can't count out any position right now. I mean, hell, damn near even wide receiver. I would be shocked, but I just don't see it happening.
Right.
But other than that, I mean, anything else we need to talk about? We've talked a lot.
We did.
Any questions from you guys before we head on out, or do you have one more thing?
Well, let's remind the good folks, hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe if you're new here. I think everyone's pretty much a subscriber. I haven't seen anyone new in here yet. But thank you guys for joining us every week. You always bring the questions, the support, the comments, and we're trying to get more content for you guys to enjoy and watch, and hopefully that will be coming very soon. So yeah, it's going to be this month coming up is just going to be slam. It's going to be a lot of stuff going on. I got to figure out what we're going to do March 11th through the 16th, because I'm going to be out of town. I'm going to be in Oregon. So we got to put some stuff together so I can get Mark to do a lot of the work and get it out there. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, figures I leave during the start of free agency. Bad timing by my part, but it's all good.
You're banking that we don't make many moves. That's what you're banking on.
I guess so. I just hope we sign back our guys. I'll be happy. I'll have many beers if if we make re-signings while I'm away. But
Have many beers if we don't
yeah,
too, though.
maybe I can find Jackson Powers Johnson and recruit him
That
out there.
wouldn't be bad, would not
Yep,
be bad. Just don't push them away, plus.
I know, I know.
Or maybe
They
maybe
get
you drink with them, take some pictures, put them on the lines, so people start thinking, "Oh, we got to drop him lower in the draft because he's out
Mhm.
there drinking with this pale guy in main class."
This degenerate that doesn't know what he's doing.
Drop him down the draft board. Bring him back. Bring him to Tampa.
Yeah,
The shit show
yeah.
that is Tampa to mainstream media.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. I'm really excited to get out there to the West Coast. Never been out on the West Coast, so that'll be a lot of fun. I've been to like Arizona, but like to be at yes, exactly. Yeah, maybe that's my plan.
Put a gas mask on. I can't believe someone did that to him.
Or Laramie Tunsil, but
Right?
hey,
Jeez.
he turned out okay. He's doing a
Yeah.
great job for the Texans. So yeah.
Oh,
That'd be a
yes.
lot of fun. I will be traveling to Eugene, so maybe I will see him there. Maybe I'll just find him somehow, stalk his Instagram.
Make it happen, Wes. Make it
It could.
happen.
It could happen. But yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Really looking forward to that trip. But yeah, it's just going to be so much content coming in over the next few weeks. Hopefully, good content, positive stuff where we get these re-signings done, and then we can really hone in on who we're going to target in the draft and see how this is going to shape up. But we'll keep it going with the the player profiles for the draft, and obviously any like free agency news we'll try to get to you guys. But other than that, it's a lot of fun, and we're going to enjoy the combine this week. See who looks good and stuff like that. It's always fun to see who the fastest guy is or the strongest. So that'll be cool.
In their panties.
Yeah, in their pants. And hopefully we don't see any of those pants rip like that one time. Who was that?
Chris Jones.
Chris Jones. Oh my
Said,
god.
"What's that?" Oh shit. Oops.
Yeah. Oh my god.
But on a more serious note, yeah, guys, if there's anyone you want us to check out, like deep dive into a film study, let us know. Boy, I mean, we need to put a thing in the community tab, like maybe names and stuff. Like just throw in any comment you want. Like,
Yeah.
I
I know Frukuwab mentioned Jaden Hicks, so we'll try to get to him. He's the Washington State safety, so that definitely could be a Buccaneers target for sure. So we'll try to get to him. But I think Zach Frazier definitely will be this week, and then we'll try to get more mainly focusing on the offensive lineman as of now, and then we'll probably shift to more defensive linemen and safeties as we move forward.
absolutely.
Yep. So, yep. So with that said, guys, I think we're gonna call it a night, and hope you guys all have a great week. Remember to hit that like button. Comment down below your thoughts of the show. And, no, we haven't done Chop Robinson yet. I see your comment there. But yeah, we'll definitely get to all those guys and try to just do as many as we can as we move forward. But appreciate you all. Appreciate all the support. And with that said, everyone have a great week. Enjoy the combine, and we'll see you on the next time.